It is a lovely day for baseball on a weekend in Chicago. Saturday afternoon has the Royals and the Sox getting together. 3.5 games separate them in the American League Central, with Cleveland in between. And we welcome you in. Jason Benetti along with you. Steve Stone will join me in a moment. And if you're going to win the AL Central, the Sox have found out the last 5 years, you have to go through Kansas City. The Royals have only won one division crown since 1985, but recently they have really thrived against the Sox. 5 straight years they've had winning records here at U.S. Cellular Field, including that comeback win last night. So the question that remains, how do you get through Kansas City, Steve Stone?
Kansas City is a formula baseball team. That formula is pretty simple. We saw it last night. They scored and put it away in the 6th inning for all practical purposes. They do that, then they turn it over to their bullpen. After a steady diet of putting the bat on the ball, the bullpen comes in late. They shut you down. They don't hit the ball out of the ballpark. They don't score often, but they score enough, especially with those talented guys at the end. The formula is very simple. It can be defeated by scoring early. If the Sox can do that and get the lead, it takes the back end of the bullpen out of the equation. The Sox will try to do that today.
Well, early last night, Melky Cabrera was 2 for his first 2 in his first 2 at-bats.
Melky's given them that left-handed presence that they truly need in the lineup to balance it out. He's hit .328 over the last 17 with 8 driven in, 4 doubles, and you can see 8 multi-hit games. So he's getting the job done. He probably would like to hit for a little more power, hit the ball out of the ballpark, drive in a few more, but if he continues to do it, hopefully the offense will come alive.
Well, as you know, you're only as good as tomorrow's starting pitcher, so what do you have in our starting pitching matchup today?
It's a righty against a lefty. It's Miguel Gonzalez making his first home start, and he's very happy to do that. Lifetime .509 against the Royals. Danny Duffy on the other side of the equation, a talented young left-hander making only his 2nd start. He's going to be limited to right around 60 pitches today. So Duffy throws it pretty hard. He's got a good breaking ball. His problem as a full-time starter is he usually gets a little inconsistent the 2nd time through the lineup. He's not going to face the 2nd time through the lineup too much today. So we'll see if the Sox can win the 2nd game of the series and knot it at 1.
Well, we have special guests coming our way again today at his homecoming weekend. One of the best base stealers in Sox history, Tim Raines, will be here. And one of the best shutdown men in the back of the bullpen, Roberto Hernandez, will join us in the 3rd first pitch coming up.
Powered by Toyota. Discover more in a Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com or your local Toyota dealer today. Let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Audi. Truth in engineering. And by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
Some great faces have played here at U.S. Cellular Field. 25th anniversary season of the old ballpark on 35th Street. And as we told you in the open, some guests are coming through today. Tim Raines will be here, Roberto Hernandez as well. And the new breed of White Sox, Miguel Gonzalez, leads his defense out, and he will face this lineup scratched out by Edgar Frederick Yost III. He goes by Ned, and he's got Escobar and Moustakas back in the lineup in the 2 spot. Then Kane, Alex Gordon in the 6th position has struggled recently. Merrifield and Dyson did not play yesterday. They're in today.
Let's take a look at the defense and how they're going to line up as Robin puts them out there. Melky Cabrera, Austin Jackson, Adam Eaton, a familiar outfield setup with Todd Frazier, Tyler Saladino for the 2nd time in as many days, Brett Lawrie and Jerry Sands at first base in cleanup today, Yanner Navarro behind the plate, and Miguel Gonzalez, our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher. His first start at home after 3 road starts. They were 3 tough starts. Doesn't have a record. He does have an ERA a touch over 5. And he'll depend on a well-located curveball. He had exceptional control the first 5 in Texas. Hopefully he's got that kind of control today. He's going to need it against a Kansas City team that's terribly aggressive. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Gabe Morales behind the plate, Scott Berry at first, the crew chief Jerry Lane is at 2nd, and Hunter Wendelstedt is at 3rd.
5th season as the skipper here on the south side. Robin Ventura has his team in first place at 25-17, a game and a half up on the Cleveland Indians. Meantime, Kansas City is bearing down on the Sox, 3.5 games back, and Ned Yost, late of the Brewers organization, had him to the World Series 2 years ago. Last season, the champs, and dead even at 489 up and 489 down in his career as a big league manager.
He had Milwaukee in his first stint. They weren't a particularly good ball club. When he got to Kansas City, they also were not a particularly good ball club. But the last few years, they've been very good, and Ned Yost is reaping the benefits of that.
Well, you said it, a highly aggressive team. They don't see many pitches. They're 23rd in baseball in pitches per plate appearance. But their aggressive behavior led to a bounty of hits in the 6th and 7th last night. And a 4-run comeback, trailing by 1. They scored the final 4 in that game to win the opener in the series and hop on Jose Quintana.
First couple at bats, Escobar will swing at the first pitch, as he did there.
Ball and a strike on Escobar, the 29-year-old shortstop.
So we'll see a good curveball from Gonzalez. He also has somewhat of a splitter. He will cut the ball, trying to get it into the left-handers.
Outside 2-1 on Escobar. Sox 11-8 at home this year. The Royals just 8-13 on the road, but they are getting back to their full complement of players offensively at least. Still behind the 8-ball injury-wise in the starting rotation, as it's now 2-2 on Escobar.
I think that's really the only place they're very vulnerable, is in that rotation. They've got a solid bullpen, as we saw last night. They've got a very good lineup, well balanced between right and left hand hitters, and they can run. 30 stolen bases this year, not as aggressive as they were in years past, but they've only been thrown out 9 times.
Crack to right field, base hit for Escobar to lead off the ball game. The second hit in 10 tries for Escobar against Gonzalez, and now Mike Moustakas, who was on the disabled list, activated today. Chesler Cuthbert has gone down to AAA Omaha. Moustakas had 1 rehab game. He was 0 for 4 on Thursday in the AA Texas League with Northwest Arkansas, and back from that minimal fracture in his left thumb.
I think he caught a break on that fracture. There's a couple of very small bones at the base of the thumb. Had he broken it somewhere else, he probably would have been on the shelf for a lot longer.
He caught a break on the fracture, did he?
Yes, he did. Could have been a bad break, but it turned out to be a good break. And here he is once again. Moose hitting in the 2 spot, which, by the way, he really responded to last year. After moving in the 2 spot, he started to take off.
That's where he bats today, pushing Kane down to 3. Hosmer from 3 to 4 from yesterday. Then Morales and Salvador Perez down to the 7 spot in a very deep lineup for Kansas City.
Banner year last year from Moustakas. He hit .284, hit 22 home runs, drove in 82, and just seemed to take to that number 2 spot in the batting order.
Escobar is off. It's fouled away. And a second strike on Moustakas.
Last night with Kane in the 2 spot, they weren't as quick to run. Now this time, Escobar actually takes off while Gonzalez is in the set position. So you want to take a couple of looks over there. Escobar has been a good base stealer over the course of his career, and this year, no exception. 10 steals, been caught twice.
He's the team leader in stolen bases, standing at first. He holds this time, and Moustakas goes down on strikes at the hand of Gonzalez. One away.
A page out of the book of Jose Quintana. You see the elevated fastball after staying down the entire at-bat. The first at-bat, back from the disabled list, turns into a strikeout from Moustakas.
Well, we heard from the folks with the Royals that Moustakas, when the injury happened, it harmed him more as a defender rather than as a hitter. But there, Gonzalez takes care of him, and Kane stands in with 1 out and 1 on. It's game 2 of a 3-game series between the Sox and Royals.
Pretty much what the doctors told Moustakas was, depends on your pain tolerance and the threshold at which you can play effectively. And so Moustakas, who is a pretty tough guy, when it started to interfere with his defense, that's when he said, I got to take some time off. But they didn't think it would be near as long as they originally estimated.
Yeah, we heard with the Royals out of town, we heard something like 4 to 6, 6 to 8 weeks as a possibility.
And this team is good enough without him, much better with him. And again, the balance in the lineup, you got righty, lefty, switch hitter, lefty, and righty, the first 7. So you got a lot of balance in that lineup.
Right center field. Eaton up with it. Escobar to third. First and third, 1 out.
Kane stayed right with it. This ball's low and away. You see where Deanna Navarro wants it. It's a cutter, and it's in a perfect spot. If you're thinking about pulling the ball, you can't hit that. Kane did a nice job of staying down on it. He didn't try to pull it. It was outside. He hit it exactly that way, and now, barring a double play, it's a scoring opportunity for the Royals early.
For a guy who had 10 straight games with an RBI last year between July 7th and the 16th, Eric Hosmer. This should get a run home. Eaton is there, 2 down. Escobar touches the plate, and it's 1-0 Kansas City.
Hosmer did a good job on that pitch. It was up, it was in the strike zone, and he pretty much got on top of it, knowing that this would turn into a fly ball. Take a look at the location. He goes upstairs knowing that the last thing he wants to do is hit the ball on the ground, and he drives in the first run. By the way, that's the first sacrifice fly of the year for Hosmer.
And it gives Kansas City the lead here in the first inning. Now Morales, who bats left-handed against the righty Gonzalez. And a throw on Kane. Told you yesterday, Kansas City's allowed 30 runs in the first inning this year. So they're ripe for the picking in the bottom of the first. Strike one on Morales, who was 1 for 4 last night with an RBI. Came in the 6th.
We'll see if the Sox can turn it around, because they broke on top last night 1-0. And it stayed that way until the 6th inning. The disastrous 6th inning, where 3 runs were scored. And that was about it.
Strike 2 on Morales, who's hitting under 200 thus far this season at 196.
The oddity of those numbers is that Morales historically has been a better hitter from the left side. Most switch hitters are stronger hitters from the left side because they see more right-handed pitching. So where they might hit more home runs right-handed, they're better left-handed, and that's the 3rd out.
And he does it left-handed. 1 in, 1 left. 1-0 after a half inning. Starting lineup. Yesterday it was Abreu to the 2 spot. He stays there. Then Frazier and Jerry Sands in the 4 position for just the 4th time in his major league career, all the way down to Saladino, who's been hot in the 9 spot.
Ned Yost is going to line them up this way defensively. Gordon, Kane, and Dyson in the outfield. Moustakas, Escobar, Merrifield, and Hosmer in the infield. Salvador Perez behind the plate. And we will tell you about Danny Duffy in just a bit.
He's a left-hander. We know that. And he throws strike 1.
That was at 95. He's always had a good arm, and that was never a problem. He has been on the disabled list 4 times, and he had Tommy John surgery 4 years ago. He did not win a spot in the starting rotation, except for injuries that brought him back out of the bullpen to the rotation.
And he is on a pitch limit today for Ned Yost.
And there is our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher. He does not have a record. He does have .257 ERA, which is good. 16 games out of the pen. It's just his 2nd start. That's why the very low pitch limit for him.
And fouled back, so those 2-strike foul balls start to add up when you're working on 60.
That's one of the things you want to do. You want to take some pitches. You want to foul some pitches off, get them to 60, and get into, if there is a vulnerable part of the bullpen, and it's not that vulnerable for Kansas City, but you want to get in early to that bullpen.
We saw the back end last night, and it was 6, 7, 8, 9. See you later. 1 inning for all 4 guys. Eaton goes down swinging, and 1 out.
He was ahead of Eaton, so he went out of the strike zone with a pretty good curveball. That might have been his shorter breaking of the 2 curveballs. That was at 86 and drifted out of the zone. More like either a slider or a cutter than that regular big curveball that he'll throw.
So that brings up Abreu with nobody on, 1 out. Jose in the 2 spot, as we said, for the 2nd time in the last 2 days and the 2nd time this year. The idea being, with Eaton's on-base percentage hovering around 400, you expect that Abreu will have more runners on when he comes up. But 5 trips up in the 2 spot in this series, he's only had a runner on once.
Outfield straightaway very deep, and it's a lively day at the ballpark. 71 degrees at game time.
0-2 on Abreu. This is nice. You know, it feels like that season that's supposed to come after spring.
It does, and normally when that happens is when the hitters start to tune it up a bit. That young man has a souvenir and a glove, and it's a sun-splashed afternoon.
In the air right field, Dyson long run, he won't get there. 1-out single for Jose Abreu with 2 strikes.
Nice job of shortening his stroke. He got a fastball down the middle and looped it in front of Dyson. We told you the outfield was deep all the way around, and 3 straight fastballs, the last of which was 97. So Perez decided he was going to try to get the fastball by him. And about thigh high, that usually doesn't work to Jose.
We hear "Come Fly With Me" in the ballpark, and that means Todd Frazier is up. 12 home run man, 32 knocked in, the most both on the Sox team.
This is a very strong Kansas City defense. That's usually been one of the trademarks of this team. And that was the first straight change that we've seen from Duffy. So a 10-mile-an-hour disparity between his best fastball and a straight change. That's actually very good. Anywhere from 9 to 11 is ideal. But in that spot, you can get away with a few miles an hour one way or the other.
10 pitches, all strikes so far for Duffy. It's 1/6 of his allotment this afternoon, we're told.
And at one point, Danny Duffy was thought of as a top-of-the-rotation starter. He was a 3rd-round pick in 2007, but he had some arm issues.
There's ball 1 of his afternoon.
Told you about the Tommy John surgery in 2012. Then he had some forearm problems in 13 and some biceps tendonitis last year. So injuries have curtailed what looked to be a very promising career.
2nd strikeout of this 1st inning. 2 out, runner at first, and time to tell you about our picks to click for this afternoon in game 2 against the Royals. Crew's got Austin Jackson, you've taken Melky, and I'll go with this guy, Jerry Sands, coming up in the 4 spot today.
I have decided to ride the hot horse, and Melky is that hot horse, although today he will be swinging from the right side and not the left.
It's Preakness Day, so you've made the right choice to be full of equanimity. Single for Sands, 2 on, 2 out.
You know, Jerry Sands is trying to do something, and that's how he made this ball club. Trying to do something that's difficult to do, and that is get inconsistent at bats and keep your stroke. This is a high fastball. It's up in the zone. He inside outs it, putting 2 on and 2 out. But when you're used to playing every day, and most of the power hitters are, as Sands was, various places he went in the minor leagues, now you're asked to come off the bench every 6 days, every 4 days. It's difficult. He's really made the most of it. He's hitting over 270, which has been pretty good.
Yeah, he's 12 out of 42 now this season. 2 on, 2 out for Melky, who's just a shade below 300, facing his former team today. Strike throwing machine, Danny Duffy.
Melky had a choice. He'd rather face you from the left side. 40 points difference. 267 right-handed, 307 left-handed. Very tough to strike out from either side of the plate.
17 walks, 16 strikeouts this year for Melky. And a pop-up that will get out of play.
So Dyson, who was used as a pinch runner at times during his career, is in right field and has a much better arm than you would expect for a guy that's known for great speed. He's a better center fielder than a right fielder, but they have a great center fielder in Kane. So Dyson shifts to the place that normally has the best arm in the outfield.
When he and Orlando were coming up, Orlando was traded from the Sox to the Royals in 2008. So Orlando joined the Wilmington team, the A-ball team that Dyson was already on. Dyson played predominantly center field. Orlando moved to right field, but they stole like 900 bags that year as a team. Those guys were willing to go very often. One and two on Cabrera.
Good eye by Melky on a breaking ball, low and in. So Duffy has been on top of each and every one of the Sox hitters, but they have extended this inning and made him throw a lot more pitches than he probably would have wanted. This is 18 forthcoming.
And it's high. It'll take a 19th, barring a pickoff.
Jose with a great lead at second base. Nobody's paying attention to him. He's going to be able to score easily.
Right field and arching foul.
I think one of the last things that Ned Yost wanted to see was this first inning take 20 pitches or more. Red Laurie in the on-deck circle. This is going to be the 20th as you look at Ned Yost, his second managerial stint, and this one very successful.
Foul again by Melky, who's making Duffy work. And the Royals they have Chen Ming Wong in that bullpen, so he's a guy that was a former starter, can eat up a couple innings, but the earlier you get to these guys, the better position you put yourself into for maybe tomorrow.
His first start, they allowed him to go 48 pitches. That's why they talk about 60 this time, and he's delivering 21.
Sands at first, Abreu at second, both on singles. In the air, first base side. And Dyson near his new teammate and his old teammate for out number 3. 2 stranded after 1-0 Kansas City.
Towering drive into left field. Bryant back, looks up, you can put it in the ball. Yeah! A 3-run homer for Bo Jackson, and the Sox lead it 3-0.
Remember like it was yesterday, September 27th, 93. Bo Jackson 3-run shot against Dave Fleming, and the Sox clinched their first division title in 10 years.
What you can certainly say was, although Bo could hit him a long way, that one was almost straight up and left the ballpark.
That was full of helium. I mean, how long did that thing take to get down?
He was a very strong man.
We may hear about Bo a little bit later. Tim Raines is coming up here, and Roberto Hernandez, and they may have some Bo stories to share. Bo and a strike on Alex Gordon, who was 1 for 4 last night. After we had Jack McDowell in the booth, he got asked about Chris Sale, and one of the things Chris asked Jack about was putting on weight. As Jack came up kind of a lanky guy, 6'5", 175, and that's always been an issue for Chris Sale as well. So 2 teams coming together.
I don't think it's all that easy if you have that body type. Now, he will find out when he gets in his 40s that it's a whole lot easier to put on weight than when you're in your 20s.
You don't have to eat 10 cheeseburgers to put on 2 pounds in your 40s. 2-2. Popped up. Third base side. Frazier slams on the brakes, Jersey Turnpike style, and 1 out for Perez.
I think he was looking to locate the bag. He didn't want to trip over it. He knew that he had all kinds of time. That one was way up there, so he was able to make the play. He's in the shift, so he has a long way to go. He takes a look down to see where he is and realizes he's at third base, so he might as well make that catch.
Perez, ground ball and foul. Well, when you're the third baseman, it's got the name of the base in the name of the position, so you might as well make the catch if it's over there.
I would say that's probably the best plan, yes.
It's high-level analysis by me there.
I think you did a terrific job.
Thank you.
For your study of third base, which I believe was your thesis, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
Where is third base?
Third base and you. Ball and a strike on Perez, the World Series MVP last year.
Gonzalez has had some problems when he gets to 2 strikes. And that's somewhat surprising.
Well, this was on 1 strike, and it's a base hit. Didn't even get there.
Now, that fastball had too much at the plate, and that's the one thing that Miguel can't do. It's called wild in the strike zone. You see where Navarro wants it. He wants it in, and Gonzalez threw it on the outer third. Perez is a pretty good hitter and a man who plays most every day. Somewhat surprising. You've got a catcher, and it's a tough job, and it's a day game after a night game, but there's not going to be any fall off from Salvador Perez.
1 on 1 out for Whit Merrifield, the second baseman who made his major league debut on Wednesday, the doubleheader against Boston.
He happens to be the second baseman today, but he made the ball club because he can play anywhere. And Ned Yost, in spring training, played him all 3 outfield positions, played him just about everywhere, occasionally at shortstop, although that's not his best, but so much flexibility, and that's why he made the ball club.
He was a hero at South Carolina, won the College World Series with Jackie Bradley Jr., same team, had the game-winning RBI in the final game in Omaha, in the last College World Series at Rosenblatt Stadium.
And while he doesn't have superior skills, he has great baseball acumen. He's a smart player.
Fly ball right field, Eaton drifting, still going, warning track, and out number 2.
Gives an idea of which way the wind will take the ball, because that looked like a very easy fly ball that drifted to the track. So we told you it was going to be livelier today because of the 71-degree temperatures, and Adam Eaton drifts back and makes the play, leaving it to a guy, by the way, who has tortured Miguel Gonzalez over the course of his career.
How about it? Gerard Dyson, 5 for 6 against Gonzalez.
You always have to watch the bunt.
Strike one.
Outfield shading him a couple of steps toward left and left center. Melky over toward the line and shallow in left.
Two strikes on Dyson. 3 hits, all singles for Kansas City so far this afternoon. No lead for Perez. Now he extends it to a step and a half. And a ground ball through the right side. Dyson flips the card over for Escobar.
Well, to illustrate the problems with 2 strikes. Over the last month, opponents have hit .267 against Miguel with 2 strikes. You see where Navarro wanted it. He wanted a high fastball. He didn't get it there. So .267 doesn't sound like much, but league average is .176. So when he gets 2 strikes, somehow seems to make a mistake in the zone, and that time it cost him. The inning stayed alive.
Is the idea on 0-2 especially just to stay out of the strike zone?
No, you can flirt with it, but you don't want to make it where a guy will get a very good swing. You want that either in the dirt, or you want that face-high fastball, something close enough, but not good enough to get a good piece of the bat on him.
Which Dyson did, and now Escobar from Gonzalez. And he comes in strike one. Well, the Royals aren't going to beat you with the home run ball so much this season, just 37 of them this year, but they will single you until they beat you.
We saw it last night, continuation hitting, and it started out with a couple of doubles in the 6th. They wound up with 3 doubles, 2 singles in the 6th, 4 singles in the 7th. That made it 4 runs for Kansas City, and with that bullpen, it was see you tomorrow.
One. Third base, Frazier across the way for out number 3. So 2 stranded, and we'll play bottom 2 next. Play along with us. Fielding man extraordinaire on Sunday against the Atlanta Braves. Tough Atlanta Braves. You got to make big plays against Atlanta. How about this from Duffy? A little glove flip, but that looks familiar, doesn't it?
I'll see your glove flip, and I will show you this one. Mark Burley in foul territory between the legs. The bare hand catch by Paul Konerko. On April 5th, that turned out to be one of, if not the play of the year.
Brett Lawrie hits it hard, right center field, and not enough. Kane at the wall.
Gave it a good ride, and unfortunately that one just died at the track. Perez wants it low and away, and that was on the outer third. Ain't able to make the catch. We've said it a number of times. If it does stay in the park, whether it's Dyson and Wright or Orlando or any combination of that outfield crew, it usually doesn't hit the ground. They can go get it.
Here's Austin Jackson, who takes ball number 1. We do have a new sponsor for Rate the Glove Flip. It's Brett Lawrie's power to right center field.
Those
Jackson.
Two pretty good plays.
Yes. Yeah, it's tough to top Burley in that category, though. That was outstanding.
Probably one of the best ever. And for all of you young pitchers who are out there watching, when you release the baseball, you become the 5th infielder. And because the biggest hole on the infield is normally the one right back up the middle, if you can field, you're going to win yourself a lot of games. And the illustration, Jim Cott with any number of Gold Gloves, but moving forward a bit, Greg Maddux won 355 games and a number of Gold Gloves. And Mark Burley was about as good as it got defensively, and he won a lot of games because of that glove.
How teachable is that?
You work on reflexes first. You can take a guy on the mound, you can have a coach take a fungo bat and hit him one-hoppers and get him used to moving his hands. The real key to fielding is a good position after you release the ball, the follow-through, because if you follow through and fall off to one side drastically, it's going to be more difficult for you.
In the air, right center, Kane coming in this time, has out number 2. Sox fans come out to the specialty beer night Tuesday, June 28th. This year's event will be located in the patio area. $45 ticket package includes access to the tasting from 5:40 until 7:30, complimentary food in the patio, and an outfield reserved game ticket. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/specialty.
That is the domain of the Bertucci boys out there. Bobby, Bruno, and I believe still Handsome Anthony.
Still handsome?
I believe so.
Is that pending?
I've heard nothing to the contrary.
The strike to Navarro, was catching after Avila had yesterday's game. 2 for 4 career against Duffy with a home run for Deoner Navarro. So after a high pitch count in the first inning, Duffy has coasted along in the second, working on 60 pitches as his limit today. 0-2.
Navarro's been a better hitter left-handed. His home run evenly divided, 1 from each side, 200 right-handed, 250 left-handed.
Well, Navarro took over the regular catching duties with Alex Avila on the DL with his hamstring injury. And right around that time, Navarro started to turn up the offense.
I think it's only natural when you get more at-bats, you're going to be able to consistently have a stroke that you're happy with. Less at-bats, it becomes more difficult. And as a switch hitter, it's tough to have a similar stroke from both sides of the plate.
One and two.
Enter having a pleasant conversation with Salvador Perez. catcher to catcher.
2-2. Floated foul. We have some special guests stopping by at the top of the third inning. They have been working the pen so far. He used to work the other pen. Now he's working this pen. Roberta Hernandez with an autograph for the young lady who is checking on her pitch speed.
She's got a pretty good arm.
You like the mechanics?
Yeah, I didn't like the location, but I certainly like the velocity.
2-2. And that hits Navarro.
Got him right on the elbow. And so that one is going to vibrate for a bit. That breaking ball gets him right at the point of the right elbow. So the inning stays alive, if not the arm of Navarro.
A lot of nerves and bones.
I've always found it interesting when you get hit like in the arm like that, you start limping. What is it about that?
I don't know.
You just saw it.
Wasn't my arm that caused it.
Hit in the elbow, limp to first.
Ground ball foul from Saladino. 0-1.
Tyler last night had a base hit and then a line shot caught by Escobar. He did that twice last night, turning one into a double play. I'm talking about Escobar. So the Kansas City defense, with the exception of a rare error by Hosmer last night, was as billed.
Ball and a strike on Saladino, who has one of his 5 career major league home runs against Danny Duffy.
Huge gap in left center field if he can find it.
Checked it up, ball high. 2-1. First career home run for Saladino off of Duffy, July of last year. 2-2. His most recent homer came off Garrett Richards, who now has declined Tommy John surgery. He's decided against having the procedure done.
He's going to wait it out and see if everything heals naturally, because he doesn't want to spend that much time on the shelf. So I'm sure the Angels are holding their breath to see if it can kind of knit itself together before he has to go through that surgery, because that's guaranteed for pitchers coming back effectively, guaranteed 15 months, maybe a touch longer depending on the healing process. That's a long time to be on the shelf.
3-2, runners off. Cue shot from Saladino. Duffy, we saw him field his position. This time he's got more time, and he finishes the second inning. Some of the Sox greats will join us next. 1-0 Kansas City.
be the biggest pitch of the game for the White Sox.
2-2 pitch on the way. Hit right back to Hernandez. He barehands the ball. He catches it. Underhands to first to double up Rich Amaral. What a play by Hernandez, barehanding the line drive.
That's how you field your position right there. Roberto Hernandez, Tim Raines, they're both here on homecoming weekend. Great to see you guys.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here.
What's it like to be back here?
It's nostalgia, getting to see the fans and workers here, and most of all the ex-teammates, and seeing this field brings back a lot of good memories.
I feel the same way. I mean, the workers, just about everybody that worked here when we started are still here. And seeing Jack and all the guys, Roberto and Lance, it's just like you said, brings back fond memories.
And Tim, this game now is shifting back to the type of player that you were, because speed, a big part of your game, 808 stolen bases. And is it nice to see that being a big factor in baseball these days as we've gone away from slug ball into now a little bit more speed and defense?
I felt like it was just a matter of time before it happened. Now that we have guys throwing over 100 miles an hour, those guys can't catch up with that hard fastball. So you got to figure out a way to make contact, get on base, and make things happen on the base pad. So I felt like it was just a matter of time before it came back around.
This is the last year of the 10 that you are going to be eligible to be voted into the Hall of Fame. Looking at the numbers, up and down, in and out, everything you did for your ball clubs respectively, I believe that you should be there. How nerve-wracking is it to be in the 10th of 10 years, to be voted in? Not that it will keep you out if you don't make it this year, but it's always nice to be voted in.
I'll tell you what, this is the only year that I've actually felt this nervous about what's going to happen next year. So for the first 8 years, it was all about, how many votes I would get and if I would stay on the ballot and stuff like that. But this year is probably the one year that it would be more nerve-wracking than any other year.
We asked some of the guys yesterday. We asked Jack and we asked Lance what the clubhouse was like back in the 90s. Roberto, what was it like for you? What were those teams like?
For me, it was basically a learning experience, going to school, basically. I learned my baseball, how to act, how to be a professional on and off the field, by listening to these guys in that clubhouse, and how to carry yourself, win or lose. When you see Harold Baines and Carlton Fisk and Tim Raines stay in front of their lockers and answer questions, good or bad, you have no chance but to learn from that.
What is it about outs 25, 6, and 7 that are the toughest outs, and the fact that guys can be terrific in the 7th and 8th, but many of them can't close as you could?
It took me about 3 to 4 years to learn how to be a closer. I was a starter. I was never prepared for it. I just was God blessed with a good arm, and that last out is always the hardest, because it's always on your shoulder. Good or bad. There's times where an extra run would have helped, or play wasn't made. But you know what? I was entrusted to be out there for that last out, and I took it as a challenge. And I owe a lot to the White Sox, because they saw something in me that I didn't see at that time.
Tim, we heard you do a good Bo Jackson impersonation, especially after he homers. Is that true?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Uh-oh.
We're going to take a look at it because we have some proof. We would never throw that out there unless we had some video proof.
Uh-oh.
Strike 3. We're going to go to break, but you got to watch this. You got to love it. Thanks, guys.
It's our
Pleasure. Roberto, Tim, a lot of
cold one to look forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Hey, Sox fans, join us as the White Sox take on the Washington Nationals Thursday, June 9th, 7:10 p.m. First 10,000 fans get a free Todd Frazier t-shirt presented by the Village of Bedford Park. Bring your business home to Bedford Park and win big. Purchase your tickets today, whitesox.com, 866-SOX-GAME. Adam Eaton takes ball number 1. Adam was actually ejected after the game last night for arguing balls and strikes. He was ejected from a game that no longer existed, which is one of baseball's interesting rules. On the ground, off the mound, shortstop, no dice for Escobar. Eaton safe.
Second time through the order. Normally Duffy has some problems. Let's see if it holds this time as Adam Eaton takes it right back up the middle. Escobar to his left. It takes a high hop and off the thumb. Can't corral it. Adam Eaton aboard with the third base hit of the day and a promising way to start the third inning.
So now Abreu with his second at bat. And a throw on Eaton, who's back in.
That step off and throw to first is very difficult on your arm because you're flat-footed trying to make that throw. There have been a few guys able to do it, but not many.
Fouled away by Abreu, and for more on Jose, here's Sierra Santos.
So Abreu in this DH position today, and Robin Ventura said he just wanted to give him a day off of his feet. Ironically, I talked to Abreu about taking days off, and he says he prefers to be playing every single day. And just to give you a glimpse into his daily routine for night games, he gets up in the morning, he goes to the gym, he does weights, he does cardio, and this is all before he arrives to the stadium, and he's usually one of the first people here at US Cellular Field. He gets in his batting practice. With all this preparation, I asked him, do you ever get tired? He flat out said no, but regardless, he's getting a little extra rest today. Guys?
Thank you, Sierra. It's a change, isn't it, for a hitter, Steve, to play that DH role rather than help your team in the field as well?
I think it's kind of a difficult change for a guy who's used to playing every day both ways. You're not as loose normally, so you have to artificially get yourself there.
On the ground and trouble. 6-4-3 trouble.
So Abreu grounds into his 7th double play this year. That leads the team in that dubious department. And Escobar came on and didn't wait for the hop this time. He came on, smothered that short hop, and made the play easily after that. But a lot of guys will tell you that it is very much of an adjustment to be a DH. Now, Jose's not going to be a DH very often, so he's not going to have to adjust to the full-time role. But it isn't easy for a guy who's always taking the glove out there every other inning.
We were talking about it the other day, just the level of focus that a player has when you're out in the field. You have to be hanging on every pitch. When you're the DH, your mind can wander.
And what to do between at-bats, that's what each designated hitter has to figure out.
Loop to right field. Merrifield bails. Dyson squeezes out number 3. Leadoff single, no harm done. Through 3, 1-0 Royals.
I'm shocked, actually, aghast, if you will. And what we have is a scorecard. The significance of this is the original scorecard on the night of the triple play, the first triple play of the year. I have autographed it, and the one thing you can't see is which game it was.
And because that's part of the question today, is which game it was, so we don't want to give that away.
True.
Yeah, although we just did.
Also true.
Give that away. There's your scorecard. What do all the pens mean? You have the red pens and the green pens, and what do you got? You got highlighters too in there.
I do on the other side, but it all means something, to which I can't tell you because it takes a while to adjust.
You have a non-disclosure agreement with yourself?
with my pens, yes. Green pen, red pen, black pen, highlighter. But this is pretty interesting because it was a unique triple play, one that had never been accomplished before in baseball with those numbers.
9-3-2, 6-2-5 was that triple play against the Texas Rangers. Now you got hints galore on today's Sox Math question.
Yeah. Well, they have a leg up.
Morales stays alive against Gonzalez on 1-2. The Royals with their only run on a one-out sacrifice fly in the first inning from Eric Hosmer. Drops low, 2-2 on Morales.
Morales has got some pretty good power. More power from the left side. Last year, 22 home runs, but he drove in 106.
Navarro couldn't hang on to it. Fouled off. 2-2 it remains.
So this was a player looking for a job. And for the longest time, nobody wanted to give him one at the price that he wanted. Kansas City took a gamble, and that gamble paid off big time.
Upstairs for strike three. Fourth punch out for Gonzalez. By the way, we have new My Head Hurts Because of Sox Math t-shirts, and Pudge is wearing it today. It will travel around the ballpark, we're told. Here's your question today. Tweet in your answer. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer wins a prize. Number of players who've been involved in both Sox triple plays this year. Multiply by the game number in which the first triple play happened. Add the game number for the second triple play and divide the number of other teams in Major League Baseball who have turned a triple play this season.
That's a tough one.
Is it?
There's some twists and turns in there.
Yes, it is a winding road. Ball and a strike on Gordon. You talked about Morales needing a job. Gordon needed a home. He was a free agent this year and decided to come back to Kansas City.
Look, he had 271 last year. Didn't have the biggest power numbers, 1648. But a very valuable member of the Royals because of the defense, what he means to the team, and along with Hosmer and Moustakas, gives him three quality left-hand bats in that lineup every day.
One and two. Count stays on Gordon.
Kansas City being down in the standings for many years, had a lot of #1 draft picks, Gordon being one of them. Their farm system developed a lot of #1s, and they're in the major leagues.
Strike three. 2 down.
Gordon not happy with the call he gave Morales, but that ball had a piece of the outside corner. We'll take another look on our Honda pitch tracks. You'll see it was a backdoor cutter, and it did shave off the outside corner. Good location, good time to throw it.
Two out, nobody on. Salvador Perez. And a foul ball.
Perez along with Drew Butera handling the catching duties. Perez a big man, 6'3", 240 out of Venezuela. Hit 21 home runs last year. Drove in 70. Big production for a catcher.
Two strikes on Perez. Well, Miguel Gonzalez, the best of news maybe today is 5 strikeouts, no walks.
He's always had pretty good control, and as a member of the Orioles, threw a couple of pretty good games against these Kansas City Royals. To this point, trying to stay away. There you look at the numbers. They've been pretty impressive.
Still 2 strikes on Perez, who's had a nice series of 3 for 5.
7 walks this year in 140 at bats. So pretty much doesn't matter where it is. He's going to be swinging.
That'll keep you from the walk department. Just 18 out of the zone out of 65. Floats high, 3-2. Popped up. Frazier says he's got it. He's right. And Gonzalez has sent away 7 straight Royals after 3.5, 1-0.
Plus, as David Accam and the Fire return to Chicago for a match with the Houston Dynamo. Coverage begins at 3:30 on CSN Plus.
A little soccer fan out in the ball yard today. That is super cute. That's from the Steve Stone Sash collection.
Good sunglasses. I like those. And by the way, speaking of that, you should look into that. Especially because if that young man had sunglasses, everything would be fine.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Well,
makes it all better?
Maybe not, but Dad's tending to it.
Can you get me in to see an eye guy?
Oh, yeah. I got a guy who knows a guy.
You do?
Yeah.
That's good. Fouled away by Sands, who's 1 for 1.
40% over retail. You'll love it.
Wholesale and then some. Wouldn't you say that's the most important hit so far? in the game? Jerry Sands single?
If I hadn't have picked Melky as my pick to click, I probably would say that.
Oh. Let's keep that, and we'll think about it later. It's a line drive, just smashed foul. 0-2.
And Duffy seeing that one go rocketing into the seats. Stops for a minute. It appears that everybody is okay. Little housekeeping by Gabe Morales. So now he's back and ready to go.
The timeless game. 0-2. Strike three. This is a clearly difficult Sox math question today. A high level of difficulty. Two players have been involved in both triple plays so far this year, Frazier and Abreu. Game 17 was the first triple play. Game 40 was the second triple play. There's one other triple play. That was the Brewers. The answer is 74, and CSOMM 27 was first in. You win a prize from the prize shelf. And we will do significantly less words tomorrow, or fewer words, if you will.
I think the trick part of it, it was scheduled game number 18, but because of the rain out, it became game number 17.
Sox math trickery.
Yes.
Melky blasts one. Left field and off the wall. He's into second with a one-out double.
That one just missed, tying up the ball game, and Melky thought it was gone, only to see it carry him off the wall. So Melky, bidding for his first right-handed home run of the year, comes up maybe a couple feet short. That was a fastball on the outer third of the plate, and Melky gets most of it, but unfortunately not all of it. Right on the catch, and you remember what that catch signified. Dwayne Wise inserted in the game for defense, making a spectacular play to keep a perfect game in order against Gabe Kapler, who was trying to rain on Mark Burley's parade, only it didn't happen.
One of the greatest plays ever in this ballpark, wouldn't you say?
I would say it had to be because of the circumstances and the fact that Dwayne didn't play until that ninth inning.
Strike one to Laurie, who flied out to center in the second inning.
Magnificent play, and he didn't catch it cleanly, but in the end, after some twists and turns, he was able to secure the baseball.
Laurie, a line shot right at Moustakas, 2 down. Only one perfect game ever at U.S. Cellular Field, July 23rd, 2009, and here it is.
Long way to go for Dwayne Wise. He goes up, keeps it in the ballpark. It gets away briefly. He was able, because of that roll, to secure it, and that is the end of the perfect game. One of the most least likely of pitchers for a perfect game. Mark Burley had 2 no-hitters, and one of them the perfecto.
And amazingly enough, the same umpire had the plate for both and wore number 56.
Cooper was his last name. Don Cooper. No, it wasn't Don Cooper. He would have.
It was Eric Cooper.
He would have had it wouldn't been Don Cooper. He would have had lots of perfect games.
Ball and a strike on Austin Jackson. Runner in scoring position, 2 down, and Kansas City's relievers are up.
Peter Moylan, who was up a couple of times last night but didn't see action, up again here today.
Busted inside, 2-1 on Jackson.
It's number 58 forthcoming. You would think one way or the other this would be the last inning that Duffy was going to work. And the Sox would love to send him off today with at least one earned run.
Two and two, nibbling the corner and then some.
Yeah, that was not a particularly good call as Salvador Perez goes out to talk with Duffy. Normally what a catcher will tell a pitcher in this situation, maybe he's going to change his set of signs with a man at second base this long. But normally what he says, he's got a pretty good idea that this is going to be the last inning for Duffy. And he's probably telling him, look, give me the best you've got, and we're going to get out of this inning. Now we'll see if he's right.
2 and 2. Fouled off.
He leaned back, got 96 on his 59th pitch.
Melky, a one-out double that nearly left the yard. He's still at second, 2 down, 2 and 2 on Jackson. Off the plate outside, 3 and 2.
Duffy is going to stay away. That right center field area is a nice place to hit a little looper. Gunnar Navarro in the on-deck circle. He got hit last time up.
Popped up. Hosmer for the final out. 4 complete, 1-0 Kansas City in game 2. And 1-0 Kansas City on a sacrifice fly in the first inning. Escobar and Kane singled. Hosmer drove in Escobar, and here we are at a 1-0 score on a Saturday afternoon. And thank you for joining us.
Miguel has thrown very well so far. This is not an easy team to face. These Royals, who don't hit the ball out of the ballpark too often, but are very aggressive early in the count. He's held them to just 4 singles. And with Duffy most likely departing, it'll be time to go after the right-handed Peter Moylan and try to score a bit. But first things first, you got to shut down the bottom part of the order. With Dyson in the on-deck circle, probably thinking about a bunt.
Well, Merrifield hit the ball as hard as anybody in the air today. His fly out to right took Adam Eaton and dragged him to the warning track for out number 2 in the second inning. 2-1. Swing and a miss on a ball upstairs, 2-2. You mentioned earlier Merrifield, the way he plays around the diamond, can play every position, kind of a grinder. His dad, and you see this so much, second-generation baseball players, his dad was the ACC Player of the Year, his dad Bill at Wake Forest.
You love to add guys to your organization with good baseball acumen, especially guys who will look at that called third strike into the catcher's glove, as Merrifield did there, bringing up the speedy Gerard Dyson.
1 out here in the 5th inning.
Well, that's 6 strikeouts. What's turning into a terrific performance.
There is that bunt. Third base side. Will it bank foul? No.
We're going to take a look at it, and once you get the ball down and it's this much fair, your chances of having it roll foul are, in this case, nil.
That's the fun of baseball. Very large men chasing pebbles down the street.
So now you're going to see the guy who was thinking about a bunt in the on-deck circle also thinking about a stolen base.
Dyson 6-4-7 this season. Gonzalez thinking about him, thinking about stealing.
And late in the season, when you can expand the rosters, they usually bring up Terrence Gore to go with Gerard Dyson and give themselves 2 burners to use at the end of the game.
Swing and a miss. Strike for Escobar. You know, that is pure Chicago right there. A beef sandwich. Love it.
Didn't you ever tell yourself, boy, I could really use a Buena beef?
I've said that quite often. Today, during the game.
Especially now.
I'm a big combo guy.
Well, being Italian, I know you like your sausage. So, beef and sausage, pretty good combination.
Yeah. Can't beat it.
True.
If there was a beef sandwich on the prize shelf, I would give up making the Sox Math questions and try to answer Sox Math so I could have the beef sandwich.
Well, you did mention you were going to promote one of the prizes that seemingly has been around for some time.
Yeah, it's Connor McKnight's sad sunflower seeds sitting in the corner alone. Connor's a good man. Somebody should take those off our hands.
Big lead at first, and because not a whole lot of people like to call a 1-1 pitch out, I think Dyson is thinking about stealing a bag. Now he stretches that lead out just a bit more.
Long hold from Gonzalez. Dyson remains. Strike called. So you said the other day, first pitch out, somewhere you'd go. Why not 1-1?
I think because a lot of guys, a lot of managers don't want to have their pitcher fall to 2-1 against a guy, especially a good contact hitter like Escobar.
In the air foul. So you're okay with 1-0 as a manager, but not 2-1? Deeper in the count is the issue?
Well, certainly not a 2-1 pitch out, because then if he doesn't go, you go to 3-1. But yeah, I think the most successful use of the pitch out is usually done in counts that most people don't think you're going to pitch out. Not on the first pitch, certainly not on 0-1.
Hopefully Boris and Natasha are not nearby for that person. Fouled away.
And that time, Dyson was going, but he'll have to retreat as the count holds.
Mike Moustakas is on deck. That's why it's Moose season here at U.S. Cellular Field.
There it is.
A 2016 graduate of Wasamata U.
Handsome moose hat. It's been a rocky start in the first 2 at bats.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, I know. What can you do?
Dyson a little squirrely over at first. You send him here on 1-2?
He sent him before. I see no reason why you shouldn't send him now. That's why it's a good time for a pitch out.
Hey, it's a great time for a pitch out. Nothing on.
Escobar is one of those guys that does swing at just about everything. He's only walked 8 times this year.
Not going. Fly ball right hand side. Easily played for Eaton.
Monday on CSN, it's a double dose of White Sox baseball as the silver and black face Cleveland not once but twice. Game 1 coverage begins at 3:30 with White Sox pregame live presented by the Koalas family of dealerships, followed by Game 2 at 7 on CSN Chicago. So the Indians come in tied in the loss column with our Sox at 17 losses apiece for a big 4-game series. First things first, Sox would love to derail these Royals.
So Moustakas 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts. That Cleveland side plays later on. That's about half an hour. Trevor Bauer going for the Indians against the Red Sox.
Red Sox have a very interesting story that continues to develop on a daily basis. And it is one of your favorite juniors.
Jim Corno Jr.?
It would be, but he's a big soccer man, Jim Corno Jr. is. It's Jackie Bradley Jr. 25-game hitting streak.
And for most of the beginning part of the season, he was hitting in the 9 spot for the Red Sox.
Well, that's what they feel as it rolls back over to the top and some pretty speedy base stealers. They figured that that was a good continuation of the offense, but Bradley has never been considered a great hitter, but he's certainly putting that to rest this year.
2 balls and a strike on Moustakas. They play him to pull on the infield. And he hits it the opposite way in the air. And into the corner, foul. Look out. Hey, nice save. Oh, no. Tragedy strikes.
Nice save, bad hands. And Melky goes over. And still.
Oh.
There you go. Melky looking as this ball slices foul, and then whoops. So that didn't work out well. And then that, whoa, he's got hands like feet. Catch the ball, man. But he winds up with it in the end.
It's low. Throw to second is not in time.
Tyler does a nice job of keeping the tag on, but Dyson, who slid hard into second base, did not pop off the bag. Throw on the third base side of second, and a long way to go for this tag.
7 for 8.
They want to see if, in fact, he did pop off the bag at the very end, but it looked like his arm was securely on the bag. We'll see what Robin and the boys come up with.
Tyson say, come on, I'm in.
Well, he's in initially. The question then being is, did the arm pop off the bag?
We're going to look at it here on the back side of the play.
The left hand looked like it was anchored to the bag, even from that angle, and it apparently was. As they play on.
We continue with 3-2 on Moustakas from Gonzalez. And he got him to swing and miss. Halfway home, it's the new dance craze at U.S. Cellular Field, the left field wheelbarrow. Baseball, you're able to call up one extra player. You can have 26 on a doubleheader day in order to fill out your full complement of your roster.
Before you welcome our affiliate, I'm going to predict that he's out there for one hitter to make Navarro hit from the right side and then go to Moylan.
Ball one on Navarro. May I welcome the folks from Reynolds, Illinois?
Absolutely, because we wouldn't have it any other way.
Welcome, folks, in Reynolds, Illinois, watching on Reynolds Cable near the Iowa border. In the air from Navarro, left side. Gordon on the move. And there is out number one. Enjoy all the benefits of being a White Sox season ticket holder by purchasing a prorated full season ticket package. To purchase a season ticket package, please visit whitesox.com or call 312-674-1000 today. Your prediction comes true, Stone.
And there you go. So Duffy will depart. He's thrown it awfully well. Moylan will come in, and as he trots in, we'll step out. Be back after these messages. Peter Moylan. On for the third time. Hasn't given up anything yet. There you look at the numbers. He is a sidearmer from Australia. Originally started in the Twins organization for 3 years and then returned to Australia to become a pharmaceutical vials and drug packaging salesman. Obviously felt it was much better to pitch, and here he is.
Signed in '96, then re-signed with the Braves in 2006, and he faces Saladino and throws in ball number 1. Two and 0 on Saladino.
When you drop down sidearm, you don't want to leave the ball inside, especially with the defense lined up as an off-field hitter, because the huge gap is in left center.
That's in there for a strike. 2-1 for Saladino. Through the right-hand side, Tyler's on with the Sox' 5th hit this afternoon. Well, you said it last night. This is the part of the bullpen that you want to get to, if anybody.
And after a fine performance by Duffy, Moylan comes in, leaves that fastball over the middle of the plate, rifled through the right side. So Tyler Saladino got a hit last night and one taken away from him. He has a base hit today, representing the tying run.
One on, one out for Eaton. Good contact hitter with Saladino at first. And a strike to Eaton, who was ejected for arguing balls and strikes yesterday after the game. And 2 on Adam Eaton, who's atop the leaderboard in the American League with 18 multi-hit games so far this year, only trailing Daniel Murphy for the MLB lead.
Manny Machado, Ian Kinsler on that list. We'll be taking a close look at Ian Kinsler on this next road trip as we finish off the trip in Detroit.
Kansas City, New York, Detroit on the way. One wraps around the outside corner. 1-2. You know, we're talking about Eaton's ejection after his objection in the 9th inning last night. Rare to see a guy thrown out of the game after the game.
Trying to register his displeasure with a zone that was a little inconsistent.
2-2. This is an interesting rule. If the umpire is unable to detect an offender on the bench, if the bench is screaming at the umpire may clear the bench of all substitute players. It's part of Rule 604. You say, all you get out. You don't get to have a bench today. Eaton swings and misses. Strike 3.
That would be somewhat of a nasty consequence to arguing balls and strikes with the umpire.
It is 604E.
Sweeping breaking ball on the inside part of the plate, and Adam Eaton swings through it.
Two down, and Abreu coming up. Boy, that's one of those spots where if Eaton gets on, you say, oh, what a genius the skipper is, because now there are 2 on and Abreu's up with 1 out.
Unfortunately, it's not going to play out that way. So with the outfield very deep all the way around, Saladino a decent lead at first.
0-2 on Abreu, who singled in the first and bounced into a double play in the third.
Another sweeping breaking ball, and that was a pretty good one.
Oh, and 2 from Moylan. He went breaking ball outside, got strike 3. Back-to-back punch outs for the Aussie, with Saladino's single left stranded.
By T-Mobile. The Cleveland Indians are playing good, solid baseball, and there's an example of it. Since May 3rd, 12-5. The batting average up there. The runs per game getting way up there at almost 6. Home runs 18. The ERA has been good. They've won 5 in a row. We'll see if Boston can curtail that tonight.
Strike to Kane at the outset of the 6th inning. Lorenzo Cain 1 for 2 with a single to right field. You know, the amazing part of all this is the Sox lead now is 1.5 in the Central, and that is still the largest lead, tied for the largest lead in any division in the American League. The West spread is 1.5. The East is 1, with Baltimore ahead of Boston. A foul ball from Kane.
Well, it shows you parity, and there is part of the parity tied in the loss column, which is at the end of the day the only important column. With a game and a half back, a big 4-game series awaits the Sox after Kansas City departs after the game tomorrow.
I think many Sox fans feel like Kansas City could leave at any point and they'd be okay with it.
Kansas City got off to a slow start. They are a good team, and the problem they're going to have and have been having is the starting rotation. The rest of the team is very solid all the way around, but the starting rotation has been somewhat problematic. Dave Island, the pitching coach, Ned Yost, seeing his ball club come 1 game away from winning 2 straight World Series.
2-2. Low. By the way, Miguel Gonzalez so far has thrown a pretty remarkable first home start for the Sox.
Done a good job of holding down a good ball club, neutralizing their speed, except for the stolen base by Dyson.
That ball is well struck. Left center field. Jackson back of the wall. It's gone.
That fastball was up and out over the plate, and Kane Hits his 6th home run, drives in his 22nd run, and that gives him the team lead in that department. Ford home run replay. Take a look at the location. Down the middle, up, and gone. So Gonzalez had hit that outside corner at the knees consistently. That time, that one drifted up and out over the plate.
So a 1-0 lead becomes 2-0 on the first home run of this series. And a strike to Hosmer, who drove in a run in the first, scoring Escobar on a sac fly to right.
We're going to see some activity in the Sox pen for the first time today. It's Matt Albers. Loosening up in front of the big Vienna hot dog. I wouldn't even bother mentioning there is mustard on there.
Thanks for not bothering.
Okay.
Still 0-2 on Hosmer. It looks tasty. If all of those condiments were always available.
Traditional.
Many
Chicago
people
hot dog
would choose to put them on. Sometimes you're constrained by the condiments in front of you.
A weak excuse.
1-2 on Hosmer.
Hosmer drove in the first run of the ball game with a sacrifice fly after Escobar and Kane had singled in the first inning.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
It's number 99 on the way, and now Miguel is battling his control a bit.
Fouled away. That was out of the zone. Hosmer sprays it left.
Number 1 fielding percentage in the American League last year for the man you're looking at, Eric Hosmer.
1 for 12 all time against Gonzalez. And make that 1 for 13. It's America's fastest growing sensation other than Steve Stone's hair. It's Sticks and Stone, where we quiz you about your own career. How'd you do against Hal McRae?
I'm going to say not very well. Now, Hal McRae started with Cincinnati, where I didn't do well against him, and went to Kansas City, where I did even worse. So I would say that this is going to be very ugly from a personal standpoint. Hal was very happy about it, however.
On the ground into the shift. Saladino is backing it up just in case. And 2 out. Morales retired. What was Hal McRae like?
Hal McRae was a good, solid baseball player and very tough. Nobody wanted to be around second base when McRae slid in. And he was a designated hitter when he got to Kansas City. And part of that team that took advantage of the huge ballpark, the artificial surface, and he was a doubles machine. So one of the real tough right-hand hitters that I had to face during the course of my career. And out of all the Kansas City players, couldn't you find one that I got out on occasion? How about Freddie Patek?
We were going to do
short enough.
George Brett, but we were told not to.
Oh, no.
Gordon hit by the pitch. 2 out and a runner on. Hal McRae, how'd you do? 286, 2 doubles. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but he drove in 2 huge runs.
Oh, yeah, those were big. Leading, eventually, those 2 runs somehow led to the Royals' '85 championship, right?
Close to it. No, I was gone by that championship.
Well, yeah, but if you hadn't allowed, I mean, that's why they're big. If you hadn't allowed those,
they're huge.
The dynasty wouldn't have been. Yeah.
So actually, that's fairly mediocre instead of just awful.
Don Cooper is out of the dugout, and he will talk to Gonzalez.
We talked about the fact that when you're pitch-wise where he is, occasionally you start to miss with your control. And he had a fastball drift on him to Kane that left the ballpark. That one hit Gordon. who struggled mightily. He would be the last guy you'd want to hit, although he didn't plan on that to keep the inning alive for Perez. So with that trip to the mound, he allows Albers to get ready, which he certainly is at this point. He wants to make sure that this inning ends with no more than the 2 they already have up there.
That will be up to Salvador Perez and Miguel Gonzalez. Kansas City with just its 38th homer of the year in 42 games. That ball drifts outside to Perez, who's 1 for 2 with a single to left and a pop out to third. Fouled back just below our booth.
He was coming back this way before darting underneath the booth.
It was a great effort by you. A very slow lean forward, but you were ready.
When I was assured that it wasn't coming in the booth, that's when I made my best effort. If they get up here, they're coming back with a little something on them.
Yeah, that one was skewered pretty good. Smash to left field and hooking foul into the corner. Gordon will have to walk back to first. Been a busy left field corner last couple of innings.
That'd be a pretty good idea in this at bat to try to keep the ball away from Perez and encourage him to hit the ball to the left side by trying to pull it. Looks like he's trying to get out in front of most everything as you look at 2 pitches in the zone, 1 way out of the zone. It looks like a changeup forthcoming.
On 1 and 2, pitch 107. Does the trick, strike 3. But the leadoff home run makes it 2-0. Can't ruin her day though. Sox trying to come back. Weekend in 2005, Chad Qualls to Paul Konerko, game 2 of the World Series, and a grand slam with 2 down. It was 6-4 Sox. The Stros came back, but not for long. Scotty Pods off of Brad Lidge. 7-6 the final, game 2. There were only 4 that year in the World Series. And Scott Podsednik scores for a 7-6 victory. The All-Star game in 03, Frank Thomas with his number retired, Paulie 5 years later, and John Danks in 2008 with that big start against the Twins.
That was just a wonderful performance in the toughest in-season game you can possibly play in. And the oddity of that year was the Sox had to win 3 games against 3 different teams the last 3 games of the season to get in the playoffs. And Jim Tomei did the honors with an opposite field home run that won game 163.
Ball 2. And they will be forever immortalized here at the ballpark. Some sweet swings from Paul Konerko and Frank Thomas. You mentioned Jim Tomei. Back in 1997, the Indians were playing the Royals on this day, so 19 years ago now. Jim Tomei stole his only base of that year, and it was of home plate in a 1-0 win. Shortstop Escobar launches out number 1 eventually on Frazier.
I would have to think that that was probably a double steal, because a straight steal of home by the big man, they could see that from Gary, Indiana.
That was back in the old days when you could run over the catcher if need be.
You have to do that. A stolen base for Jim Tomei.
Not really what he was known for.
Nope.
Surprisingly enough. 27,631 paid today, and a lively crowd hoping for a comeback at U.S. Cellular Field.
At this point, hoping for a run. 5 hits so far, 1 extra base hit, that by Melky that almost went out of the ballpark in the 4th inning.
Stays inside, ball to strike on Sands, who's 1 for 2. Moylan's got a 2nd strike on Sands, who, as we mentioned earlier, is hitting in the 4 spot for only the 4th time in his career. He's got 10 ever major league at bats in the 4 position. Foul first base side.
It's surprising that Moylan continues to drop down and leave the ball over the inside part of the plate, but he's done it effectively to this point.
Set up outside. He left it over the plate again, and Escobar has a 2nd chance here in the 6th inning. Friday, June 10th, come see the Sox take on the Kansas City Royals, 7:10 p.m. They're back just like that. All fans are invited to stay for a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Purchase tickets today by visiting WhiteSox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Good crowd today on just a beautiful day. The temperature has climbed to 75.
Is that a Cedar Rapids Colonels jersey?
I believe you could explode one in the booth and I wouldn't know what a Cedar Rapids Cardinals jersey is, or Colonels, or whatever.
K-E-R-N-E-L-S. Colonels.
Yes, it is.
That's a sharp-dressed man.
One of my favorite, ZZ Top.
Outside to Cabrera, 3-0.
Sox need a base runner. Melky trying to keep it alive for Brett Lawrie, who's been up twice and hit the ball hard twice with nothing to show for it.
That's your 25th anniversary Sunshield. And ball 4 to Melky Cabrera.
When you get done with your concessions, sometimes it's best to shield yourself from the sun.
Two out, one on for Laurie. I'm told by Dave Ross in the truck, by the way, on that, it was a double steal with Tomey. You're not going to believe who was the other end of that double steal.
Grizzly Adams.
Laurie laces it to center field. 2 on, 2 out. Basically, it was Julio Franco.
Ooh, that was an old double steal. So the inning stays alive, and here comes Dave Island. He wants to talk with Moylan. This is exactly what they want to do with Jackson and the bullpen up and going for Kansas City. So they'll have their shot at Peter Moylan with the tying runs on base. The pen is going. Shin-Ming Wong getting ready as quickly as he possibly can, and you would think that if this inning stays alive after Austin Jackson, it's going to be Wong and Navarro going head to head.
2 on, 2 out. Rally brewing. Down low.
Sox had a shot last night at Soria out of the bullpen, and then after missing that, there was no chances left against Herrera and Davis.
Big opportunity here. Now 1-1 for Jackson, facing Moylan, who came in with 1 out in the 5th. Two on, 2 out, 1-1. Jackson pulls off and misses 1-2. Laurie singled, Cabrera walked. Ball and 2 strikes. The pitch. On the ground, Moustakas at third. He got away with 1. 2 left on. To the 7th. 2-0 Kansas City.
Miguel Gonzalez and his strikeouts today. He actually threw the ball very well in 6 innings, striking out 8. And he hit his spots very well. He'll leave this one with a couple of runs on 6 hits. Didn't walk anybody, and the aforementioned 8 strikeouts. So he turns it over to Matt Albers on for the 19th time. Record 1-3, ERA just about 3.5.
He will face Merrifield, Dyson, and Escobar in the 7th inning. Trying to keep it a 2-0 score and give it back to the offense, which will have Navarro, Saladino, and Eaton on the way.
Man is trying to get back to that sinker that he had the first month of the season. He was not only throwing it hard, but it had great movement. The last few times out, he's gotten the ball up and not the same kind of movement.
So what causes a sinker baller to lose that sink?
I think it's just like any other pitch. I mean, sometimes you'll lose a curveball for a start or two, or sometimes that slider won't be near as sharp. Something that comes and goes, and I don't think anybody can explain exactly why. The hitters will tell you, though, when a sinker baller stops throwing ground balls and starts throwing line drives and fly balls, he usually is going to start giving up some runs.
2-0. A mountainous chopper fouled, 2-1 on Merrifield.
And Jennings starts to throw in the pen. Most likely ready for Moustakas, who has had a day of no contact in the 2 spot. His first game back from the disabled list.
Cuthbert down to AAA Omaha. 2-1. First base, Abreu. Down low for out number 1. Make it Jerry Sands. I'm so used to Jose Abreu over there. 1 out.
Nice play by Jerry as he went to the line. Took away a potential double. And Merrifield now 0 for 3. You have a man who bunted his way on last time. And he's the happiest man in the ballpark to have his 2 hits already against Gonzalez, who departs, and now he's got to face Alvarez.
So Dyson is single to right, then the bunt single. And another single.
Came in hitting .222, but you'd never know it by what he's done today. So now once again you have their premier base stealing threat on. He did bunt his way on and then steal a base in the 5th.
Similar situation 2 innings ago. And a throw on Dyson. Low for a ball on Escobar, who's got 3 hits in the series and 8 tries.
The longer they don't run with Dyson, the higher their percentages of a double play ground ball and out of the inning.
He holds. Fly ball left side. Cabrera for the 2nd out. Hey, Sox fans, learn to play baseball the right way, straight from the pros. White Sox baseball camps are open to boys and girls ages 5 to 12 and will be in over 50 communities this summer. Call 630-PLAY-BALL or visit bullsoxacademy.com to find a camp near you. And that will be all for Alvarez. You said it, Jennings to face Moustakas, and that's what we'll have on the other side. Top 7, 2-0 Kansas City with 2 down. Blacklist for exclusive club content all year long, including ticket offers, breaking news, special event invites, and more. Visit whitesox.com/blacklist to register today.
Our Hyundai call to the pen, and it is Dan Jennings. Twofold purpose. You bring a left-hander in to combat a base stealer at first and to face Moustakas on for the 13th time. ERA an even 2, so he's been pretty good out of the pen. And he's facing a man that has gone down swinging 3 straight times.
And meanwhile is 0 for 4 against Jennings in his career. Strike 1.
And held the ball a long time looking at Dyson. And many times a base stealer, if you hold it that long, he's going to lose his rhythm, and you're going to hold him right there.
Ball and a strike on Moustakas. Kansas City got a run in the first and a sac fly from Eric Hosmer. Next run came across last inning. Top 6, a home run for Lorenzo Cain on a 3-2 pitch from Gonzalez, who finished 6 and gave up the 2 runs. Left side foul.
All in all, this performance was very good by Miguel Gonzalez. Kept his ball club in the game, but Jason, you were remarking between innings that runs have been hard to come by, especially this homestand.
11 runs so far in 5 games against the Astros and Royals. Need a couple here to salvage game 2. Dyson's off late, and he is out. Looked like he got caught in between, and the Sox are the beneficiaries. 2-0 at stretch time.
to delayed stealing, and that is you want the catcher to be in the middle of his throw back to the pitcher. You see this time Dyson on a delayed steal. Not able to get there in time. The good tag by Saladino, the good throw by Navarro, and Dyson on the delayed steal is cut down.
Navarro does the trick on the throw, and he leads it off in the home 7th against a new Royals pitcher after Moylan went 1 2/3.
Brian Flynn coming in the ball game, on for the 5th time, 1-0, 3.68 ERA. Left-handers have done nothing against him. Right-handers have had a little luck. And Ned Yost has shown in this brief series so far that he would prefer to face Navarro from the right side as opposed to the left.
Fouled back 2-1 on Navarro, who was hit in the 2nd and flied out in the 5th. Got 9 outs to play with, trailing 2-0 in game 2 of a 3-game series. Inside, 3-1 on Navarro.
That one just missed him. He was hit in the elbow in the 2nd inning. Certainly didn't want to get hit in the knee with that one. Flynn tries to get it low and in and can't get it there. That was way in.
That's inside, leadoff walk.
Sox have seen all they want to see of Wade Davis, and to keep Davis out of the game, they have got to, at the very least, tie it up at 2, looking for more here in what has been a very lucky inning for the Sox this year, the 7th.
First one misses to Saladino, ball number 1.
Ned Yost is not going to be too patient with Flynn as Joakim Soria loosening in the pen. We saw him for 1 inning last night. He caught a bit of a break. A hard hit ball turned into a double play after a base hit and a walk in the 7th inning. That line drive to Escobar, who doubled off Adam Eaton.
Strike 1, ball and a strike on Saladino. You mentioned the 7th inning. Sox lead the American League with 35 runs in the 7th inning this year.
Could use a couple more right here.
Ball and a strike. That's low. 2-1 from Flynn to Saladino.
Not much of a lead at first base, and the dugout for the Kansas City Royals yelling out at Navarro to get a lead. He was yelling back that that's exactly the lead he wants. Short.
3-1 on the Sox shortstop. Adam Eaton next. Abreu after that. Saladino, left field, long run, it's down in front of Gordon.
Second base hit for Tyler. Here comes Dave Island. He's going to talk about a couple of things. One of the things he's going to talk about is the possibility of a bunt. There's a lot of ways to defend a bunt with first and second, nobody out. One is the pitcher breaks to the line, the third baseman hangs back at third, you try to cut down the lead runner. The other is the pitcher breaks straight in, as does the third baseman. There's a couple of variations on a pickoff play at second. One is Escobar going behind Navarro, or Escobar breaking to third and Merrifield breaking behind Navarro.
But do you bunt here with Eaton? I mean, he's one of your best hitters.
He is that. He does have a hit today. Do you bunt with him? I would say yes, but we'll have to see.
First and second. Eaton squares, lays it down, third base side, and a bobble. Moustakas didn't handle it. Oh boy!
Well, that time they made a mistake on the defense, and the reason is Moustakas, looking to third, thought that Escobar was going to be there. So there was miscommunication. Moustakas, looking to third, bobbled the ball when he saw there was nobody at third base. He turns around, he wants to make the play at third, but they weren't set up for the defense. So the air loads them up. That's going to take Flynn out of the game in what is promising to be a very entertaining seventh.
Second time this homestand, the opponent's defense has broken down after a meeting at the mound. Pitching change, bases loaded, nobody out. 2-0 game.
The man we saw last night, Joakim Soria. On for the 22nd time, he's been a busy man. Opponents hitting a fairly robust .269 with right-handers hitting him better than left-handers, and Jose Abreu stepping in with the bases full of Sox.
Abreu has only one career hit against Soria, but it was a home run. Foul away.
Career with the bases loaded has been very impressive. 429, looking for his third grand slam. Outfield, a shade toward right center, the big gap in left center.
Oh, and 2.
Well, this is where you would expect the sweeping breaking ball as you look at every base occupied. Navarro at third. Will have to come down the line looking for a ball in the dirt.
Down a piece. Soria has retired the first batter he's faced 17 out of 21 times this year.
At the very least, a nice sacrifice fly, assuming it's going to be the right or right center field, would score a run and move up. Tyler Saladino, who's got a short lead at second base. There's been 2 inside fastballs and a curveball that was supposed to be a wipeout curve.
0-2. On the ground, Escobar, Merrifield, turn, double play. Sox do get one. It's 2-1.
This ball is up and out of the zone, and we'll take a look at the pitch sequence. First fastball inside. Second fastball on the inner third. Then the wipeout breaking ball that he fought off, and this one up and out of the zone. And the second time today, Jose has grounded into a double play. But the Sox are one run closer, cut the lead in half for Todd Frazier.
Those are good numbers against Soria. Nothing in one. Tying run at third. Saladino with 2 out. Nothing in 2.
Willie Ewing now, Tyler Saladino. Keep your eye on the breaking ball.
Frazier, one of the best 2-strike power hitters in baseball this year. Takes high.
Nice job of laying off that one.
Seven of Frazier's 12 home runs have come with 2 strikes. One and 2 from Soria. Misses. 2-2. Saladino at third. Just missed. 3-2.
Jimmy Rollins in the on-deck circle. Todd can keep it alive. With everything in this at bat down except for one 0-2 pitch up in his eyes. Let's see what Perez wants.
3-2. On the ground, Moustakas backing up. Has it and got him. Sox get one. Could have been more. 2-1 as we mosey into the 8th.
gets the Sox closer by 1, and with that White Sox run, eClick has donated $100 to Pat Tillman Foundation, supporting military veterans and their families. So the first and only run of the ball game, and coming away with bases loaded, nobody out with only 1 is disappointing. But Jennings out there to hold them right there and give the offense a chance.
2, 3, and 4 for Kansas City. Moustakas, Kane, and Hosmer. Jennings coaxes a swing and a miss. Moustakas was up when Dyson was caught stealing in the 7th.
So far, 2 pitches, 2 breaking balls, and Moustakas pulled off both of them. So no reason to make any adjustment. We're in the same spot, same pitch.
There was an interesting scenario brewing with Rollins in the on-deck circle grabbing a bat for Jerry Sands, with Abreu designated hitting today. You wonder how that would have shaken out defensively for Robin Ventura. No matter, that spot didn't come up. Two and 2 on Moustakas. To shortstop, and Saladino is right there for out number 1.
I would be thinking, just for curiosity's sake, that would have been Rollins to shortstop and Saladino to first. So Moustakas hits the ball, but hits it right at Tyler Saladino.
And so now the man who has created the difference in the game, Lorenzo Cain, with a leadoff homer in the 6th inning, making it 2-0 at the time. It's on a 3-2 pitch.
A high fastball, wanted it low and away, didn't get it there, and Cain hits his 6th home run of the year.
Well, Lorenzo Cain was his name, and he comes on the Valdosta train. He's from Valdosta, Georgia. 29-year-old outfielder.
Always liked the band myself.
3-0 on Cain.
Against Jennings, he has hit a home run in his 4 at-bats.
You mentioned the stacking of this lineup earlier. Left, right, left, switch left from 2 through 6.
Pretty tough to face, and also it's tough to match up against for a bullpen, because if you're going just side to side, you're going to use a whole lot of pensmen late to try to combat each and every one of these hitters, but that is the object for Ned Yost.
Three and 2 on Cain. Royals at 21-20. The Sox 25-17. 3.5 clear of 3rd place Kansas City. Cleveland sandwiched in between, a game and a half behind, playing right now against the Red Sox early in that game. That's ball 4. 1 out walk to Cain.
I did check. Lorenzo has 2 children, Cameron and Jaden. No Virgils.
1 out, 1 on for Hosmer. So the weight of the lead falls on the shoulders of Dan Jennings. 2-1 here in the 8th. It's down low.
Hosmer 1 for 8 in his career matchups with Dan Jennings, and that was a 2-base hit.
What do you think about a double play right now?
It would be the 5th. It would be Welker.
He braces for strike 1.
And Nate Jones is ready in the bullpen. He's been standing around. Morales, the switch hitter in the on-deck circle, and the preference for Robin probably be to make him hit from the left side where he struggled this year.
Foul of Sands at first, 1-2.
How did the order do up in the 8th inning?
Sands, Cabrera, and Laurie 4, 5, and 6.
Get a look at Kendrys Morales, designated hitter who normally is better left-handed, but not so this year.
Sands at first, second one, return, double play. We'll talk about Morales later. For now, Sox trying to get one and more down a run. Rollins is in the box for Jerry Sands, and he'll lead it off. Then Cabrera and Laurie to follow in a one-run game. And the first pitch misses to Rollins from Soria. Soria did his job, came in, got the double play, got another ground out, and wiped away the bases loaded situation in a 2-0 game. He did give up a run, but that was all, as Rollins looks at ball 2.
It wasn't too long ago that Soria was a premier closer, and he was a good one. He didn't do it with overpowering stuff. He had very good stuff. He had pinpoint control, and at one point 42 saves and 43 saves for these Royals. But right now having trouble finding the plate, and that's the tying run. That young gentleman very concerned about Rollins getting on.
Just in time to turn and watch a rally. 3-0 on Rollins, a very likely taker here.
If he's not, there'll be an investigation.
Cancel that. 3-1. Three balls, one strike. Soria to Rollins. Right field side toward the corner, and this is foul. Not by much.
He broke the bat on a pretty good pitch from Soria. That ball was on the inner portion of the plate, and it didn't miss by much. It had two bases written all over it as Soria throws that fastball on the inner portion. Unfortunately, this one hooking foul. He's going to go back and get another bat. You could hear it in the audio portion of our replay. It's like my audio tweets.
2 for the price of 1. Jimmy selects his bat from the rack. Three and 2. Leadoff batter, 8th inning. Sox down a run. Time called by Rollins. Sox got a run in the 7th. Royals have their 1 in the 1st and 1 in the 6th. He got him swinging. 1 down.
This one just drops out of sight. Perez does a nice job, and Rollins down on strikes after seeing the count go to 3-0.
1 out, nobody on. Melky. Takes downstairs. Ball, no strikes. Question is, who is going to be the guy to bust the Sox out of this deficit? Melky tried 1-1.
Pen up and going for Kansas City. Pen up and going for the Sox. Little too much time, and Melky asks for and gets a timeout. And Robertson probably ready to go.
Ball and 2 strikes on Cabrera, who doubled in the 4th and walked in the 6th.
Wade Davis loosening up in the pen. He got the save last night.
To shortstop, Escobar. Jump throw. Did he get it? Yes, he did. Beautiful play by Alcides Escobar.
Escobar with a lot of range to his right, not quite as much to his left. He guns him down at first, and I would certainly hope somewhere along the line it would be explained to players that they do not get to first base more quickly with a head first dive. He wasn't going to beat this one out anyway, but good play by Escobar.
Two out, nobody on. Laurie. Soria gets a swing and a miss. (2-1) Kansas City after a 4-1 win last night for the Royals. Half swing foul, 0-2. In the dirt, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Laurie. Well, we've said it a bunch this homestand. It's not as though the Sox have had a lack of runners on. It's been more the hitting in situations that has befallen them in a negative way. 2-2 on Laurie.
Sox had a shot at Duffy in the first inning. Couple on and 2 outs. They had a man on in every inning up until this inning.
Escobar circles around it. A double clutch. Out. Sox do have a challenge if they wanted to use it. Looked like a clean call. 1-2-3 inning for Soria. 2-1 to the 9th. Restaurants, fine dining and service while enjoying a breathtaking view of U.S. Cellular Field from the First Merit Bank Stadium Club. Memberships are available to season ticket holders and open before, during, and after every home game. The First Merit Bank Stadium Club is also perfect for non-game day events, including weddings and corporate parties. For more information regarding the First Merit Bank Stadium Club, call 312-674-1000. We visit the 9th inning, and Morales takes ball 1.
Jimmy Rollins stays in the game at shortstop, shifting Tyler Saladino to first. And Morales comes up hitting .350 right-handed. He had a tough day from the left side. He came in hitting .142, went 0 for 3 without getting the ball out of the infield as a left-hand hitter.
Should have him here. Rollins to Saladino. 1 down.
Dan Jennings has come on in relief of Matt Albers and thrown the ball very well. Albers went 2/3 in relief of Miguel Gonzalez. Gonzalez went 6, gave up the 2 runs on 6 hits. He threw the ball certainly well enough to win. He will get a quality start for this, but he left trailing. And the Sox, although they cut the lead in half, still need a run, and they're going to have to get it against Wade Davis.
Gordon looks at ball 1. Just a 184 hitter entering today against left-handed pitching. He was 0 for 2 against the righty Gonzalez. One and one. 1:10 tomorrow as well. The Sox and Royals will get after it again with Yordano Ventura and Carlos Rodon. Then Cleveland is in town.
Boy, if I was ever traveling Wisconsin, I could tell where the Sox were going.
Let's take a trip.
Time now for our White Sox upcoming schedule, brought to you by Travel Wisconsin. Plan your fun today at travelwisconsin.com. The finale of the series, and then the Tribe for 4 before heading back to Kansas City against these same Royals for 4 more. Our upcoming schedule.
When was the last time you visited Wisconsin?
I used to routinely go to Lake Geneva. I did love it up there.
Isn't it nice?
It was really nice.
Spent some time up in Elkhart Lake watching the open wheel guys make left and right turns.
Great place to go in the summertime.
Three and two on Gordon. Jennings trying to hand it right back to the offense with Jackson, Navarro, and Saladino scheduled, then Eaton in the 9th. Check swing, he didn't go. Ball 4.
Tonight, turn to CSN for the most comprehensive nightly sports wrap-up show in town on Sportsnet Central. From your favorite Chicago teams to the world of sports, grab the biggest highlights. Can't miss interviews and more tonight at 10 on CSN Chicago. So Dan Jennings will depart, and Nate Jones will come on, and will step out. And in his 2-1 game, we'll be back after these messages. At 11 a.m., Kip Lewis and our Beer Money crew will be looking for tailgaters at U.S. Cellular Field. Come out for the fun, test your sports trivia knowledge, and try to win cash. Beer Money presented by Coors Light. And our Hyundai call to the pen is Nate Jones as he comes on with Alex Gordon at first base. Looking for a couple of outs, on for the 18th time. He's 2-0, his ERA 2.20. He's been throwing it well in left-handers and right-handers. Done very little.
Perez first. And he hunts at the first pitch. Austin Jackson makes his way to the spot for out number 2. Nate Jones now 8 straight innings of scoreless ball at U.S. Cellular Field. Well, Whit Merrifield is 0 for 3, just 1 for 6 in his very brief major league career.
Robbed of a base hit last time up in the 7th. Line drive to first.
Jerry Sands was in at that point, made a nice play.
Gordon 3 for 3 in stolen bases.
Not a whole lot to lose here.
Nope.
8-hitter up. Merrifield knocks it foul. Again, if you're looking ahead to the home ninth for the Sox, it'll be 7, 8, 9. Jackson, Navarro, and Saladino on the way.
And last night against Wade Davis, Sox actually hit the ball pretty well. They had a base hit. Saladino with a line out before the game ended on a cold third, but it's a pretty good approach against a very tough reliever.
Three and one.
And was 3 for 3 in the on-deck circle.
Gerard Dyson is singled to right, he's singled to center, and he's bunt singled. Three and one. Well hit. Gordon to third. And a wide turn by Merrifield. He does return to the bag. 2 on, 2 out.
I like the aggressive turn because if anything is fumbled, he's going to be able to take off and go to second base. So he gets a 3-1 fastball right over the middle. Rollins can't get it. An aggressive turn at first base. You're just looking for a bobble. Has to put on the brakes and retreat. Now once again, you got to make sure that you take the bunt away from Dyson.
Now Frazier's in at the bag at third. Saladino holding Merrifield on. Fly ball foul.
Dyson started today because he's always had tremendous luck with Miguel Gonzalez. Today no exception with the 2 for 2. And stayed in the game to pick up his 3rd hit in the 7th inning.
One and one for Dyson. Escobar, just in case, would be next. Sox would like to make sure that he does not bat. Kansas City has led since batter number 4 in this game. Saladino holds the line. 2 left for the Royals. Sox need 1 or 2 to tie or win.
And here's our Miller moment, and it's the difference in the ball game. Lorenzo Cain gets a high fastball, rides it out of the ballpark, made it 2-0 at the time. It's 2-1 as we head into the ninth, and Lorenzo Cain and his home run, our Miller moment. So Wade Davis comes into the ball game. Picked up his 10th save last night. He's 1-0. His ERA 1.23.
He did blow his first save of the season 6 days ago against Atlanta. He allowed 2 runs in the ninth.
That would be a nice scenario.
Carlos Sanchez to pinch hit for Austin Jackson. So the Sox with Garcia and Avila still on the bench. Strike one.
Osaka's in close at third to take away a prospective bunt. No sign of the bunt on the first pitch.
Merrifield at second, 1 down. Big spot in this game, at least on this side of the ball, was bases loaded, nobody out, 7th inning. Abreu up against Soria, and Soria coerced a 6-4-3 double play. It did get a run home. Then Frazier bounced out to third, and Soria wound his way out of the jam. The Royals maintained the lead, and here we stand with 1 out, nobody on for Navarro.
A couple of other shots against Kansas City came in the first with a couple on and 2 out. Again, the same scenario in the 6th with a couple on and 2 out, only to come away empty.
Ball low, check swing, no go, says Hunter Wendelstedt at third. Navarro scored that only run on the double play ball from Abreu. Ball, no strikes. 93 for a strike. One and two. Fouled off. Count remains 1 and 2.
And went right off the mask of Perez, who's had some concussion problems in the course of his career. That was a pretty good fastball and got him square off the mask, and you can see he's grabbing his neck. Very much of a whiplash effect when you catch one flush in the mask, and Gabe Morales is giving him some time to collect his wits. The trainer's coming out to talk to him. Of all the guys on this field of play, this would probably be the one guy that would be costly for them to lose for any length of time. And because he's been on that 7-day disabled list with concussions, that's something to keep a close eye on. Ned Yost can certainly relate to that. He was a catcher during the course of his playing days, and so Perez says he's okay. Looking at his mask to see if it's still in one piece.
See if there are any gaps that he can possibly fill. Davis has loaded up on strikes to Navarro. On 1 and 2. He got a swing and a miss. Ball loose for a moment. Perez on target, 2 down.
It is very hard to get the ball by Salvador Perez. He blocks pitches with the best of them, and that time had that ball trickle in front. Didn't get away far enough.
So it's up to Saladino, who's 2 for 3. 1 hit against Moylan, 1 hit against Flynn, and now an opportunity at Davis.
He had a good at bat against him last night in the 9th. he'll need another.
Low at 96. Eaton would be next, then Abreu. Rope foul by Saladino. Ball and a strike. Since the base is loaded, nobody out situation, Royals relievers have retired 7 straight. No ball has made it to the outfield since then. Inside, 2-1. Three balls and a strike on Saladino. Eaton on deck. Abreu waiting just in case in the hole. Three and 1. Here it comes. Fouled off. Former Tampa Bay Ray Wade Davis against the San Diego product Tyler Saladino. 3-2, 2 down, bases empty. And the Sox stay alive. Saladino works a walk.
Good at bat. He spoiled one good pitch. Before on the 6th pitch of the at bat, he takes the walk to keep it alive, and he carries with him the tying run. Adam Eaton carries with him the winning run.
Eaton, a sacrifice, reached on an error in the 7th. He does have a triple against Davis. That would be enough to at least get us 2 extras. That's inside. Ball 1.
Anything into right center field scores Saladino from first. There's a gaping hole that way.
Opposite way, Moustakas. Royals win 2-1. First 2 in the series go to Kansas City.
Kansas City formula once again in evidence, although they added the long ball, which was the deciding hit of the game. The bullpen at the back end held up once again, despite a good outing by Miguel Gonzalez. And unfortunately, this homestand has not started off particularly well. So losing the first 2 to Kansas City. Back at it again tomorrow.
Royals are now 2.5 back. We'll see what Cleveland does. The Indians were 1.5 back starting play today. 2-1 your final. For our director Jim Angior, producer Mike Leary, associate producer Dave Ross, tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti saying so long from U.S. Cellular Field. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live with Chuck and Bill. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.